Let's see.
Not yet. Oh, now, yes.
We're recording. Now she started. Okay, cool.
Perfect. Okay, I guess we can start then. Okay, yeah, I guess, do we want to just each introduce ourselves, stream, what we do around campus?
Yeah, go first.
Oh, okay, I'll go first. My name is Megan Mazer. I am in my third year of software and I'm Biomed. A couple of things I do around campus. I'm on the varsity tennis team. Some of you probably know me as one of your TAs for 1P10. I am also in the Mac Eng Musical and am currently the outgoing biomedical engineering president for the iBio Society.
All right, I'll go next then. Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm in my second year of iBio software. I am on the varsity field hockey team, and I'm also on Mac Athlete Care. So we kind of do things around the campus, and we go like visit hospitals and go visit little kids and volunteer with them, which is fun. And then I'm also one of your TAs, so you might have seen me around as well. Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Hafez. I'm not on any varsity team, but I'm in second year software and bio, and also not your TA, but I'm a bronze medalist in provincial wrestling.
Oh wow, fun fact. Okay, I guess we'll start by sort of explaining why each of us chose our stream. I guess I can start with that. So for me, when I was in first year, I've definitely already told the story to some of you. When I was in first year, I knew that I really enjoyed programming, but I also really enjoyed some of the hardware interfacing that we were doing in 1P10. So it wasn't just like I knew I only liked programming. Like I liked Raspberry Pis, I liked working with the circuits. So streams like electrical were kind of on the table, Tron, even like EngFizz. I was a little bit up in the air. And then my IAI at the time gave me really good advice and basically said, at the end of the day, there's like three main groups of engineering streams. There's like technical, which is all the ones that you're kind of considering. There's processing / manufacturing based, which would be like chemical and materials. And then there's specialized ones like EngFizz. And as long as you know like which of those directions you want to go into, then you should be set no matter which one you pick. Like you can apply to an electrical job with a software degree or vice versa or anything like that. So obviously I knew that I liked the technical sort of streams. And then from there, I just did a little bit of research, looked into the courses that I would be taking, the professors I might have, talked to some upper years, and decided that I really liked some of the topics that software covered. So that's how I picked.
So when I was picking, I think if you, I guess, listen to what Megan's story was, I pretty much chose something from every single different category because I was choosing between software and EngFizz and HESI. So I was a bit of a mess. For me, I did not know what I wanted to do at all. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I walked into iBioMed, didn't know what I wanted to do at the end of the year, but I knew I wanted to keep doors open, which were kind of why all three of those were the ones that came up for me. Let's see, everything's frozen. Is it frozen everywhere?
We can still hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. And then, so I was thinking about HESI because I thought it would be like really open because there's so many electives, and same with EngFizz. But I ended up choosing software because for me, software just kind of opens the most doors. There's so many like tech companies and a lot of opportunities for like innovation and stuff because it's a really big and open field. So that's why I ended up choosing software, because to me, I thought that it opened the most opportunities. And I also did enjoy like the coding parts of all the projects we did in 1P10.
For me, the reason why I chose the software stream is mostly when I was in high school, I sort of already knew that I wanted to do software. And so I didn't really like have a conflicting choice between any of them. The one that I also considered was electrical, but I mostly just wanted to know more about software and not only like the coding aspect, because I know you can learn the code on your own, but I don't think you can learn the process of like development on your own. I think you have to be taught in lecture. So that's like one difference, I guess, and that's why I wanted to choose software.
Cool. Okay. I guess we can kind of talk a little bit about like what it's been like in software. Okay, so I'll start again. Yeah, so overall, like I would definitely say that I'm very happy with where I ended up. I'm really glad that I did choose software. And as a like forewarning, I think that no matter where you end up going, everyone is gonna have that sort of like grass is always greener on the other side moment where you might feel that you made a wrong choice. Everyone has done that before. So don't let that sort of like fear scare you too much when you are picking your original stream. And even if like you get that feeling, at the end of the day, you can always decide to switch streams. Like it's not the end of the world. So in software, to be honest, my second year, I will admit, I found pretty challenging in software. That was just kind of like maybe it was the jump from first to second year, sort of me learning how to manage my time better and to be in like a specialized stream that wasn't just like doing the same courses as everyone in level one. But I found that the actual courses I was taking, for the most part, I found them really interesting. So that kind of validated my original thought of going to software, which was like, I think I'm going to like the courses. And now that I'm in third year, I can say that I definitely like them even more. So, for example, some of those courses that, I mean, Jessica and Hafez can talk about the second year courses, but for me in third year, I took databases, linear optimization, software like practice and experience, which you take a course like that every year actually in software at least once, which is basically a big group project focused development course. Took, what else am I taking? Computer architecture, and I think that's all I'm taking right now for software. But I definitely really have been enjoying like the course content as I've been going. So yeah, I overall definitely a really positive experience.
Hafiz, do you want to go first this time?
Yeah, sure. For me, my experience so far, I feel like in first year it was actually quite tough for me, and I didn't really enjoy first year as much because I guess in my first semester, or actually in high school, in grade 12 I only had 5 courses throughout the entire year. So to go from 5 courses in the entire year to 6 courses in one semester was quite a big jump for me. And so on top of that, like a lecture where you can easily get distracted, I didn't really like, and I couldn't really like focus, I guess, in lecture. So I fell behind because I was that student where like if I sat in class and I paid attention, then I would be okay if I did the exercises and stuff on my own. And so I guess in second year it was a little different because a difference from like our stream to any other end stream is that we have a little more time outside of class, but that time you got to use wisely in terms of like whether you catch up on other courses and stuff. So I feel like in my second year it's going a lot better than my first year, but only because I had to struggle the first year. And I think because it's more of an interest, then it made it a lot easier for me. In terms of like, I guess courses right now, Jessica and I are taking, or we took, I'm forgetting all of them. Well, what are we taking? We're taking algorithms. We're taking anatomy 1 and 2. Help me out over here. Software development.
Yeah, we took a course on C and then one on Java now, and then we took discrete math both semesters. So because you're getting out of second semester math, you're still taking math.
It's a different kind of math, but I feel like if you don't let that mentality of like, I can't read these symbols, if you can avoid that mentality, then I think you'll do fairly well in those discrete math. So for me, I guess in second year, the courses are pretty interesting if you keep an open mind, because it's not programming, and like it's only 1 or 2 courses on programming. The rest are like fundamentals and what's behind the scenes.
I found for me, I think I found the opposite of Hafez. Like I found second year to be trickier than first year just because it's a lot more specialized, and especially so a lot of times you do need to like learn these specific things that are software related. But I found that for me, like it was nice because I honestly don't think I could have done just software, like if I was in just normal software engineering, because it would have been like a lot of coding, a lot of very technical things all the time. So it was kind of really nice to be in iBioMed, because when I wanted to like take a break from sitting there and coding or sitting there and looking at very technical terms, I could do biochem, or I could do anatomy, or I could do like our bio course. So it's really nice because a lot of times like software is you have to sit down and get something done on like a computer or something, to be able to like take a step back and be like, okay, let's go look at the real world and look at what the heart looks like. So I found that even though I think in second year there probably isn't that much connect between the courses you're taking that are bio related and the courses that are software related, it balances out nicely. And I would like to say that later in your like years in software, they will connect more, although I cannot say for sure because I'm not in those courses now. But if you like look at the course outline, they are a lot more separate in first year because they're trying to teach you like the fundamentals of both. But like even though they're not connected, I found that it was nice to be able to have both of those options like in my education.
Before we kind of like jump to the next main topic, I did want to address something that I know is a very prevalent rumor that goes around about software, is that the faculty and the profs are really bad. So I will speak very honestly. Yes, you will encounter bad professors in CAS, but at the same time, I also think it's important to recognize that when you're in first year, you're very fortunate to have like a lot of really passionate profs who care a lot, which is awesome. And I'm not saying that there aren't software profs like that as well in your upper years, but on a whole, there's less of them. But at the same time, I don't think that something like that should necessarily have a heavy impact on like how you're selecting your stream. It's definitely like a factor to consider. But I think that if what software covers, and again, it's not just programming. We do a lot of other things besides programming. If it's something that you are really interested and passionate about, like the professors is not a big issue at all. It's just about what you're learning when you're there, what kind of projects you're doing, and like job opportunities after. So take that rumor with a grain of salt.
And I think another thing is that like not every single professor is like, you're always going to have professors who do care. So if you care about like making a connection with a professor, working with them over the summer, those kind of things, like that option is always still available to you. So even if there's one prof that you don't like as much, and everything in both of our semesters, there was a prof that like I thought was a good prof and did care about us. So like it's not like people leave you out to dry. Like you will learn your things and you will find professors that you will connect with no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Okay.
Turn on the light. It's getting
okay. I guess this ties in kind of well to sort of the next area, like things that you might like or dislike about the program, or anything you wish you knew when you were choosing software. Does someone else want to go first?
For me, I think going from first year to second year, the way I thought about math was a lot of it was textbook in first year. And like, if you didn't understand something from I guess like the lecturer, then you would just read the textbook and you'd try and make sense of it. In terms of like second year, I feel like you're going to encounter a lot of things where you will not find any resources online whatsoever, just because either the prof has created the like assignments, like calc check, for example, he created a whole like formal proof checker. And so you don't have any resources online. So it's very like something that I wish I knew was you got to go to like most of your lectures, you got to go to tutorials. And when you don't know something, it's more than likely that someone right next to you won't also know that something. So you do have to ask a lot of questions in software. And I feel like something that I like is that aspect. Like you can ask any question and the prof will be more than happy to answer it. But then something that I don't like is some profs don't really have a lot of office hours. And so what you got to do is you have to like start things very early and plan ahead. And if you get stuck, then you email and book an appointment. A lot of our profs don't actually have any office hours. You have to like email them beforehand. And so that's just, I don't know, that's something small, but for me, it's something valuable.
I think that kind of like what Hafa said is just like, don't fall into the hole of thinking that you can do everything online, because I know that a lot of people will look at software and be like, oh, there's so many coding courses online. And like, yeah, that is true. But if you try to depend just on the internet for learning your courses, like it's just not going to work that well. There are some things you can find online, but there are also a lot of things that you don't. And if you fall into the hole of thinking that you can learn everything online, you're going to have like a lot of problems when you sit there and realize that half of the content was just stuff that the prof kind of came up with. And I think that that's kind of something that it did take me a bit of time to go through, because for the first half of like first semester, I just kind of thought I could do that. And then like you kind of realize later that you can't, which is good to help with motivation, I guess. And then, so otherwise, I think that for the most part, like software wasn't that different from what I was expecting. But it's also different because you are going to be with a whole bunch of different people. I think that's no matter what stream you take. You're not going to be like last year, you knew everyone in iBioMed pretty well, but we only have like anatomy and biochem with the students in iBioMed this year. So you kind of do have to make it a point to like meet other people in your stream, which is kind of a good thing at the end of the day, because then you get to make new friends and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I really agree with that for sure. Especially in software, a lot of the work that we do is focused not just on, like you do a little bit of this in second year, you do the individual like core fundamental programming courses, but as you go along, you start to do more and more courses that are like group work, the general structure of how you develop a software product. And it is definitely really important to have people you know that want to be in a group with you, that want to be spending hours with you until like 3 a.m. at Thode working on your project. So yes, definitely really good advice is to kind of go out of your way to meet new people in whatever stream you specialize in. I will say in software particularly, it can be a little bit hard because people tend to be a little bit less social, not antisocial, just a little bit less. So yeah, no, definitely sort of make yourself go out of your way and meet some new people. And then the other thing I wish I kind of knew or had told myself to do is actually like realize that you can go talk to your professors in the first place, and you can dispute your professors if you have concerns on things. So when I was in first year, and I know everyone tells you when you're going into university, oh, don't be like, don't be shy. Don't be this like little fish in the big sea. You can go talk to your professor. Like they want to talk to you. And I never ever did that. Like I didn't go to any office hours. I didn't want to talk to my professors because like I was sitting in these big lecture halls and I didn't feel that it would really help my learning. So I kind of took that approach in with me to first semester of second year for software. And it did not work. Like for example, with Discrete Math 1, which we can definitely get into a little bit later, but like it is quite a hefty course. You have a lot of like concepts you're learning, you have a lot of workload on you. And I was just like, well, I mean, I can't go ask the professor, I can't go talk to the TAs. That's what I've always done. I'm just gonna struggle through this course by myself. That doesn't work. So don't do that. Never goes well. And I started to learn that in second semester, second year, and now going into third year is that professors are literally there for you to talk to them. Same with TAs, but I think it's a bit easier with TAs. Professors are there for you to talk to them, and if you have concerns, like you need to bring them up for your benefit, for your peers' benefits, for your own clarity. So definitely recommend doing that as well.
I don't know, just to add on to that, I think like TAs are really, really good things to, like that's something that I wish I took more advantage of, because I realized throughout the year that like the TAs that are chosen for the courses were chosen for a reason. I think in first year, it was a lot more just like, I didn't want to talk to the TAs. I didn't find that they were that helpful. But in second year software, the TAs were actually very helpful a lot of the time, especially for like first semester discrete math. I'm pretty sure they saved my life there. So like just, I think being willing to go ask TAs for help really, really is something you should do, like no matter what stream you end up choosing, because they do want to help you as well. And like I think Megan and I can say that as TAs, that like it's nice to be able to help someone, so you shouldn't be scared, because like that's their job and they do want to help you.
Okay, I guess we have about 5 minutes left for this section. One question that I did want to bring up that I'm just reading off here is like maybe a favorite course of yours that you had, since we have been talking a bit about discrete math. Yeah, so maybe like a favorite course and how it sort of helped you be more passionate or enjoy software more.
For me, I think my favorite course so far would probably be 2SO3, which is our programming course in first term. And that's our C language programming. And the reason why is because the prof, although he seems like he doesn't care about the cohort, and he doesn't really care about anyone and doesn't want to answer any questions and will not stay after class for anyone, he makes his assignments extremely practical in the real world. And so he makes it so that he challenges you, and he always, and I hate to say this, he always compares us to Waterloo software, and he always tells us that Waterloo software is capable of doing so much, and so are we through these assignments. So he always says that, like, I know these assignments are difficult, but if I don't challenge you, the only person that I'm making it easy for is me. It's easy to mark everyone if everyone gets 100. And so he wants things to be very challenging and practical. So these assignments, I feel like, that we do are assignments that you could potentially put on your GitHub or on your resume or anything that you want, to be honest. Like, I feel like it was a good start to like software programming, I guess.
Jessica?
Oh,
I'm trying to think of another one, because I was going to say the same course as Hafez.
Okay, I can go.
I
Okay, so I actually was going to mention two. So I would say my favorite course, the one that I've probably enjoyed the most, would be a third-year course that we take called linear optimization. So this is not, again, sort of like a traditional programming course. You do no programming in it. It's kind of like a maths theoretical course. So essentially, you're sort of thinking about how you can optimize problems. So obviously that sounds really easy. It's stuff like, okay, you have a bag that can fit this much weight and this many like items or whatever, and you have all of these different items with different weights. Like, what is the maximum amount of value you can get without, breaking the bag, sort of thing. So you start with like really easy problems like that, and then you start moving towards like some other very crazy applied algorithms and like the dth dimension and like some really, really cool stuff. The professor is a hoot. He's like this really, really French guy who is like really funny in class and really cares about the students. So that was a really great course because especially coming off of, for me, which was like a harder second year, it was really refreshing to see a course that I like really, really enjoyed, had a great prof, like did well in. But then the other course I wanted to mention was actually Discrete Math 2. So
no, that was my that was gonna be mine. Can I steal that so I can answer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say that one of my favorite courses was Discrete Math 2. Probably half because Discrete Math 1 was so difficult and so hard, and it hurt my head all the time. And I think that a lot of Discrete Math 1 was like they were just trying to get down to the basics, and I felt that I never really understood the theory of what was going on. And then Discrete Math 2, like our prof is really good about like breaking down the theory, so everything we did in first semester that I didn't understand made sense, which is really nice. And it's also like structured in a really different way. Instead of having 3 lectures every week, we have 2 lectures, and the third lecture is a discussion session. So he kind of like goes through what he's taught you, and then he will like call out on different students and help get them to help kind of like go through the problems. And it kind of helps a lot because all the things that other students don't understand were probably the same questions as you were having. And he also kind of cares about us because we have like midterm review sessions, and he brought like snacks when we went, which was really nice.
Yeah. So I guess to kind of belong to that, to clarify for maybe people who don't know too much about the course structure. So there are 2 discrete math courses, 1 and 2 in first and second semester respectively. So I know we've kind of been saying that the first one is really hard, and I guess we'd be downplaying it to say that both aren't difficult in their own, I guess, regard. But the first one focuses a little bit more on sort of like traditional calculations and proofs. So what I mean by that is like proving why 1 + 0 = 1. And you start with stuff like that, and then you get a little bit more and more challenging as you go. And that's one that focuses on, again, Calc Check, which is like a proof checking system that you use throughout the whole course. And then Discrete Math 2, I would say, is a little bit more conceptual, maybe. Like you start doing stuff like state machines, Turing machines, stuff that is really actually applicable to how computers think and how your programs run. Not that Discrete Math 1 isn't. You also use the stuff from Discrete Math 1 when you're doing project documents. But yeah, no, definitely really enjoyed Discrete Math 2. Like Jessica said, the professor really, really cares about students. Like he brought in these little Carolina Chews, which are these little brownie things, and then he posted the recipe on Avenue to Learn for us during his little like midterm course review session. Another really cool thing about that course, I don't know if he's still doing it this way, but for the tests, he would
yeah, he still does.
Yeah. So for your midterms, which I think there's 2, you do the midterm once in like 90 minutes kind of thing in a typical midterm room, and then you have like half an hour starting from whenever that 90 minutes ended to work with whoever you want in the room to redo the entire midterm. So obviously the group part is less of a weight. It's like 20% or something like that. And it's not always beneficial to you because you might do worse in the group part, right? Like you might have thought your answers were right and they were right, but then talking to other people makes you change them to the wrong answer. But I think it's a really cool approach, and he really places emphasis on like your learning and making sure that you're understanding the content really well. So yeah, really good course for sure. Do we want to move towards part B, or it's about 7:30?
I think we should bring up like our experiences with the program, like internships, co-ops, things like that before we do part B.
We can each go through, I guess, our co-op experiences so far, maybe, because we've all had like different types.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can start. So I'm actually going on my first co-op this summer. So it's going to be in Kitchener-Waterloo at a place called Intelligent Surgical. So they essentially focus on computer-assisted surgery, specifically like total hip arthroplasties and like live modeling of what's going on in the hip at that time, and also like predicting where certain parts should go when they're doing like a hip replacement. So I thought that was super, super cool because I mean, you guys are all in 1P10 right now. You do like a hip related project. And it's really cool to find a company that like sort of perfectly integrates the 2 things I'm studying. So I'm really excited for that one, pending it doesn't get canceled because of anyone else?
I'll go next. So after my first year, I did a co-op at RBC for the summer, and I was doing software development and data stuff. So we were kind of doing like data analytics of like their infrastructure and all the things they had. To be honest, I don't really care that much about banks or anything, but it was a really good experience I found, because like I learned a lot about what software development was, and honestly I wanted that experience because I could spend the whole summer doing a software co-op, and if I realized I hated the software co-op, then I would know that I really didn't want to do software engineering the next year. But I liked it enough that I guess that's why I'm in this stream now. And then this summer I'm supposed to be, as long as I'm allowed to still go, work at Microsoft, and then I'm working in like it's a internship program where you're kind of teamed up in groups, and kind of like 1P10 projects, like you will be pitched a project idea and you spend the whole summer working on other students to like build and deliver that project by the end of the summer. Like one of the teams last year, there's a group of 6 students, and Minecraft gave them a project, and they built Minecraft plugins so that it would be more useful for kids with autism so that they could play it better. So I guess the co-op experiences I had / are gonna have are not super bio related. I do want to do one some point later on, but a lot of them have been more like innovation, because I think that's kind of cool.
For me, after first year, I did not get a summer co-op, so if you do not end up getting a summer co-op, do not be discouraged, because the intent is not really for you to get one after first year. Usually it's more in your later years. I got a research internship during, or not really an internship, but like a research position during the year this year. It was like, it's like sort of a long story, but it was while I was working at Tim's. I like connected with some prof and
that was
able
you?
to, yeah, that was me.
LinkedIn.
And I was able to just talk to him about it, and he pretty much invited me for just to like help out and volunteer. And then eventually it turned out to be a part-time job, and that's what I do right now. What it is a data science internship, and it's like an orthopedic evidence-based research. And so what they do is they look at trials and they look at different papers, and they summarize them, and all the analytics behind it is what really drives them. And so like I just work with like a team of data scientists. And then this summer will be my first co-op at McGarvey Lab at McMaster. And I don't really know what that's all about yet. So we'll see after this summer.
I guess before we move on, I also wanted to say, kind of like building on that point, again, no matter what stream you choose, do not be stressed if right out of the block, like you don't get a co-op. And I think it can be really discouraging when other people around you are getting co-ops. Like, I feel like that is something I struggled with so much in second year. And particularly in software as well, there is an element of competition, like very strong competition, because it's just kind of the nature of the field you're in. But yeah, please, like, do not be discouraged. There is no like right time you should be having a co-op. If you don't go on co-op at all, like, it's not the end of the world. You're at no like detriment or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, like, if that's something you're looking for, definitely work hard to get there. But yeah, don't let that be a super big weight on you.
I think the other thing about co-ops is just like, I know a lot of people have like a misconception, especially with software co-ops, that you have to be like a super duper amazing coder, and that if you're not, you're never going to get a job in software, and that scares a lot of people off. But like, I want to say, especially for myself, I don't think I'm that good of a coder, and I was not that good of a coder going into software. Like, I literally had never taken a coding class in my life until I took the software stream. Like, Python was the first language I had learned. And like, the biggest thing that you'll find that co-op employers are looking for, like, even in software, because I know that people have told you this about like other streams as well, is like your soft skills are important. But like, as important as knowing how to code is in software, like, those soft skills are important as well. And if you can get the basics of coding down, which I'm sure all of you guys are smart enough to do, like, the difference between being able to do like basic coding and like getting hired at companies is going to be those soft skills. Because especially as interns, they do care about that, because it's going to be the people that you're going to have to work with for the rest of the summer, and they know that you're going to be kids, so they are going to want to like know that they like you as a person. So I wouldn't be like super duper stressed about being an amazing coder, and like, don't let that be the reason you don't do software, because I believe that you guys will be able to get a co-op no matter what, if this is the stream that you choose.
And then also one last thing before we go into questions. I feel like not only is it whether you're good at coding or not, or whether software is really for you or not, or any of that. I feel like another thing is also marks. I, for one, do not have the best marks. And for me, it's like, not only do I have the challenge of like GPA wise and all that, like, I know in software it's very competitive, but I've gone through not a lot of like applications for co-ops, but not a lot of them ask for your marks anyway. So it's more or less like the way you present yourself. And I feel like through the Tim Hortons drive-through, I didn't really, all I had to do was talk, and I never had to show a transcript. Like, I guess talking goes a long way, and just having those soft skills like Megan was talking about really goes a long way. So marks do and don't matter. It depends on which route you take. So do try and keep them up, but also if you can't, don't be discouraged, because it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, a lot of software companies do not care. Like, I see that that's one of the questions that we're going to get into when we get there later on. But honestly, like, neither of my two jobs did they ever ask for a transcript. Like, Microsoft never asked me for a transcript. For all they know, I could be failing right now, which thankfully I'm not, but they did not ask. So obviously, like, do well, learn the things, but don't think that you will not succeed, that Google will not hire you, that whatever company you want to work at will not hire you because your GPA is not good. And like, that's in software, but that's in all of your streams right now. So don't be super stressed out, guys.
For sure. Okay, I think we can move into like the sort of second half, which is taking some questions from you guys, and there was a Google form as well that you guys had to submit. So if you have any questions, feel free to send them in the little chat on the side, or in the meantime, we'll probably just read off of some of these question forms. One that I saw in the chat just now that I guess we can start with is how large are the class sizes? So in my experience, I want to say around 150 when it's just software. But there are going to be courses that you do take with other students, other streams. Tron and computer science are two that we take a lot of classes with. So for example, discrete math, there's a lot of CS kids in it. There's even some math kids. That one might be a little bit closer to like 250, like 200 to 250 kind of thing.
I think it's the same for us as well. Like, it depends on the course. You do take a lot of courses with the CS kids in second year, so it'll go up to 250, maybe even 300. I don't know how big they are now, but they're like your first year. Maybe not chem, but they're like your first year eng, I guess, like just a little bit under that.
Mm-hmm. I guess we can just sort of.
Yeah. So one of the questions here I see that like I find that a lot of people do ask are, what are the advantages of studying in software engineering compared to spending time learning code by yourself and taking another stream such as electrical or mechatronics? So I think that since all of us are in software, we cannot say that much about how electrical or mechatronics works. But I think kind of Hafez touched at it before, but software engineering is not the same as sitting there and coding all day. A lot of it is like you are trying to become an engineer at the end of the day. So it's a lot about like what the process of doing software engineering is. Like, what is the process of like those big infrastructure things? How would you document the software? How would you product manage a software project or something? So there's a lot of that kind of knowledge that you would not understand if you just did like little code projects. So while we do have like, I think we've only had like one specific code-based project every single semester. The other ones are just like other things that will help you understand the bigger picture of software engineering more. And that's something that you can't learn if you're just coding on your own versus if you do software engineering.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. I definitely agree with that. It is really important if you think you are interested in a career in the software industry. There's a lot of nuances that we start to learn in software engineering, especially in your third year. Like, you're just doing a ton of like how to develop software, how like to understand what goes on behind the scenes of it, that perhaps other streams sort of miss out on.
I feel like just to touch back on that, a lot of people do say Elec and Tron will also do coding, and people will say, why don't I just do one of those if I can also do coding on my own? Also, I feel like if you have your own time to develop those skills, then you're already doing well in school and you're already managing your time. So if you were to do something like that in software, like, not to say, even if you do pick materials or chem or something and you do have the time, you could learn how to code. But I feel like at the end of the day, it's the degree or like the name of the degree that you get, and some jobs will only accept a certain degree for you to do an internship, for example, while others may just look for your skills. So with software, it's very transferable. So if you learn one thing, you could easily apply it. Whereas other streams, we're not too sure about, but you still do learn a lot of transferable skills.
Definitely. Here's a question that's in the chat. Is there a lot of hands-on work beyond just code, or is it mostly just sitting at a desk on a computer for most of your work? So I guess this kind of ties into the structure of the like learning progression in software. So again, like, there are some core programming courses in your second year and you will be at your desk programming, but there's also a ton of project-based courses in software, and they do start in second year. I don't know if you guys mentioned taking, or I don't know if you have taken 2DA4 yet, which is I forget what the actual course is called. But
it's digital logic,
like,
software
yeah,
digital logic.
So essentially you're interfacing with hardware. So the entire course is like working with a board, similar to how you guys work with the Raspberry Pi. Like you'll work with a microcontroller and go all through like the digital logic of how that board works, make it do cool things. And that progresses into all the project courses you do. Especially when you get into upper years, there's much less restraint on the types of projects you're developing. So I've kind of done, I guess, like 2 so far. Well, I guess 2 XP3 is 1, which is the second year practice and experience course, I guess. The only real requirement, I think, for that course is like you have to use a data set with like at least so many entries. But you could do like whatever you wanted with that data. So if you are interested in interfacing it with hardware, making it into some sort of application or something that's not just like on your monitor, you definitely have the freedom to do that in these project courses. And it's the same with our third year project course. The only requirement is that you take an open source project that currently exists and like make it better in any way you want. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity depending on how you like the direction you want to go in with your work to be doing more than just pure programming for sure.
All right. So what are good indicators that software and biomedical engineering is for you in terms of courses you like, things you want to do in the future, etc.?
I guess for me, it's just keeping doors open. Like someone could be a software engineer and work at a healthcare, like a tech healthcare company, but having that knowledge gives you like a benefit or like just an advantage over someone who doesn't have that knowledge. But I guess for now, like we don't really know that yet because some of our courses are not really integrated as much, just because it's still like we're just learning the fundamentals of software and fundamentals of biomedical. So I feel like maybe in our capstone project or our fourth year might be a little more integrated. Maybe we see more opportunities with like the actual integration.
Definitely. I guess like I'll say in terms of like maybe knowing that software is the right stream for you, because I think like like in terms of courses you like or things you want to do in the future, etc., it is like definitely I agree. There's so many like doors you can go through with a software stream. If you like the programming of 1P10, obviously like that's an asset. But I again don't think that like that you need prior programming experience or you need to have like really strongly excelled in the programming aspect of 1P10 to be successful in software or even after. And there is no real, obviously a lot of students do have an interest in software, like just as industry for after their like degree. But I have friends that have like written the MCAT in software and biomed. Like personally, I'm really interested in doing a master's. Like there are so many doors that are open. So there aren't like too many specific indicators. Again, like liking the programming is an asset, and math too. Liking math is an asset, but
Yeah, I personally think that there's like if you want to do software, pretty much the only requirement is that like you are slightly interested in programming or you like technology to some extent, because I think that software is one of those very versatile programs. Like I will say for myself, I don't want to work at a big tech company in the future. Like that's not my goal whatsoever. I don't even know if I want to work in software in the future, but I just think it's a good skill to have because technology and like coding and programming is pretty much a part of like every single part of our life now. So if it's something that I know, then it will give me like, it will open doors to so many things, and that I'll have like the opportunity to pretty much work in any industry, which is why I kind of chose it. So I don't think you even have to be like in love with the idea of programming, as long as you enjoy it, as long as you enjoy the problem solving, because a lot of programming is problem solving. Like anyone can learn like the syntax of coding, but you can't teach someone how to problem solve. So if you can problem solve, you'll be successful. And if you're in iBioMed, you probably are good at problem solving, or else you wouldn't be in the program.
So therefore, everyone go into software.
Yeah, essentially what we're saying.
There's one question in the chat here that I wanted to answer really quick, which is really good. How close of a community would you say software and iBio is, especially in comparison to first year? So right now there are 5 software and iBiomeds in my year. I don't know about second year. How many?
We have 8.
I think we have.
8?
I think we have like 11 or something.
We have 11.
Yeah, there was like the sheet that came out like with all the data of the first cohort and second cohort.
Really, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
But I would say personally, I'm pretty close with my fellow software and bios in my year, especially because there's only 5 of us, and yes, we were the first year, but I think it's a very natural progression to have because you're essentially taking like, they're the only people that are taking all the same courses as you are, so you're gonna naturally sort of like gravitate towards those people. In comparison to first year, I think, to be honest, there is a little bit of a loss in terms of the general iBiomed community, and that's just because like you don't have 1P10 anymore. You're not in the design studio working on your projects till 1 a.m. with them. You're not like sitting in lecture with your big cohort all the time, which like it's kind of sad, but you definitely come back together. I felt in third year with our 3PO4 course, which was again sort of like a design studio based course. So it does go down a little bit, but definitely comes back up again. You'll always have your like iBio cohort for sure.
I feel like I'm more close with the software and iBiomed kids than just the software kids, just because that's the way it worked out to be. Like with anatomy and biochemistry, our schedules could only be so free, and so like we all were put together in like 1 or 2 labs, right? So we got to be closer in that way, and also we have one thing to like bond about, which is probably like anatomy, for example, or biochem. So we did get close, but there are a few people who are still like on their own and don't want to, but that's just the way they are. They just work independent and they just want to be independent.
Mm-hmm.
I think in terms of like the more general question of like what community in software is, I think Megan touched on it before. Like when people say that people in software are less social, like I guess it's true to some extent, but I think that in any program there will be people who will be less social, but also just like with every other program, there will be people who want to be your friends and will do like cool things with you. And then the software society, I know, like hosts events as well, so you can meet other people in software, even though you'll probably meet them regardless because they'll be in your classes and they'll be in their labs. I think this year we had like 2 pub nights too, so that was, I think, something interesting and new that they tried to do. So I think the software community is kind of like what you want to make out of it. If you want to kind of like take it on your own and just like do things at your own pace and stuff, like you can totally do that. But if you want to make friends, like there are definitely people who will be just as social and want to do fun things as well.
Yeah, like some of the software and iBios like that I'm friends with, we actually play Minecraft together now. And also the Software Society are starting a Minecraft server next year just for like as like a feature of software. And so they just wanted me to plug that.
Disgusting. All right. Let's see. What else is there?
There's a couple of chat questions.
All right. Okay, let's answer these ones. In your honest opinion, does the software engineering program at Mac meet industry standards? In your past co-op experience, do you feel like students from Mac are in the same playing field as those from U of T and Waterloo? And do big companies want to hire from McMaster because of that? All right, I can go first, I guess. I think that a lot of software, it's what you take out of it and what you want to get out of it. And I think that the only person that's really stopping you from not being as good as students from other schools is if you choose not to learn everything. And I know like schools like Waterloo, they make you find a co-op. They have all those resources for you. But like Mac actually has a lot of those as well. If you make it a point to go to like those co-op offices, you'll actually notice that they have a lot of co-op events. In fact, like going to one of those events in first year was how I got my co-op, because I ended up talking to a recruiter. So it wasn't necessarily through Oscar Plus, but it was through one of those co-op events. And in terms of like big companies, they will hire from McMaster as well. Like Akil, who is in software in our year, I think has worked at Google, Facebook, and Slack by now, which is cool.
Definitely. Yeah, don't let that dissuade you from, like, especially I think because software is a quite competitive like industry field. Like undeniably, there are some really strong engineering schools out there. But again, like I think it does really come down, I think Jessica said this, like it does come down to like your own personal drive and like where you see yourself going and how you're going to get there. Like the co-op that I am on track to do this summer, like I'm the first McMaster student they've ever like hired, and I don't know that they've interviewed that many more. But even if you encounter a company that is like, we only accept Waterloo students or something like that, like just apply it anyways. Like you might prove them wrong, right? It's totally up to you. It's your independent journey, and like don't let that be a barrier for you, for sure. I guess, do we want to quickly talk about how many electives do you get? I think that information should be on the academic calendar website because I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, you guys should definitely check out the academic calendar so you can see like every single year, because that is how I decided my year. Like every single program I was considering, I printed out every single year of their courses, and I like X'd out all the courses I thought I wouldn't like and circled all the ones I thought I liked, and then I looked at the pictures for a while.
Yeah, no, that website's definitely super helpful. It has all the course descriptions, so you can check out like what you might like or not like about a stream. Maybe we can kind of answer these collectively. So someone said, I heard anatomy is hard. We'll probably not spend too much time on that. And then someone asked, how do you navigate the difficulty of discrete math? So I guess overall, it seems that second year software and biomed can be a little bit challenging. So do we have any like tips for navigating discrete math / the entire year program?
I think in first year, everyone's going to tell you, don't leave anatomy to last minute. Don't leave discrete math to last minute. And you're going to be like, yeah, I won't do that. And then you're going to leave anatomy to last minute, and you're going to leave discrete math to last minute, because that's what I did as well. And I think, like, I'll say this, even though, like, everyone said it to me and I didn't, but just like time manage, because I found that, especially in software, they do not like a lot of stuff. It's like up to you to go figure out and learn. So if you do not time manage properly at the end of the year, you're going to be drowning and everything. And you have enough time, but a lot of those times, like things will come in waves. You probably found that in first year as well. So kind of just like be on top of things, and then you will do okay. Like anatomy especially is like a function of time. I think like you will do as well as the amount of time you put in, because like that's the way the course goes. So as long as you actually like put it in your head that, hey, I should do anatomy from the beginning, I shouldn't fall 10 lectures behind, then you'll probably do pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. I guess one thing that worked for me with discrete math 1, because I mean it was a lot of homework that you were doing and assignments, is I would actually book out hatch rooms with like a bunch of my like peers in software and biomed, and we would literally just like grind it out until it was done. So like if booking campus space is something that helps you like get out of your room, because I know for me otherwise I sit in my room and I don't do work, yeah, definitely like use those resources. I think we probably have time for about like 1 or 2 more questions if we want to pick, like, or if anyone has any last minute questions they want to send in, now would be the time.
I guess while we're waiting, here's one. It's, when choosing streams, should I overlook a bit second and third year courses if the upper year courses really interest me?
I mean, I feel with that course, like one thing in software a lot of people look at is like machine learning and stuff. And I know that we only have one technical elective for introduction to machine learning. So if that's something that's of your interest, just know that it's probably in your 4th and 5th year for a reason. It's more or less because you need all the fundamentals first. So a lot of people will say you need math for a lot of software, and that's true, but you will learn all that math in the 2nd and 3rd year. So I don't know about 3rd year because I'm not in it, but like linear optimization, I bet is a very practical course for anything that you do in software development that involves like vectors and things like that. So I mean, if you are looking into courses that are in 4th and 5th year, then it's probably likely that the theme of those courses will come from the fundamentals of the 2nd and 3rd year.
Definitely. There's one in the chat. Is there time outside of course load to be able to pursue your own software projects? Yes, there is 100% time. I would actually say that like just from like talking to a lot of students in other streams, we probably have like lighter in terms of like units that we take and stuff like that. And some instances you do have a lot of projects though, so don't think that it's like, oh, you have like no work to do kind of thing. But no, you 100% have time to pursue your own software projects or extracurriculars you want to do. Like you definitely have time, and it does come down to time management, but the time is 100% there.
And I think that's a big thing for like being successful in software engineering, like taking the time to do your own projects, to like learn things on the side, because especially if you're looking for like co-ops and stuff, that's things that employers really look highly on. So if you can find a project that you're interested in, like maybe a new language you want to learn, something that you want to try, like a game that you like that you want to recreate, like doing that and enjoying it and having fun with it is good, because like you'll enjoy it, learn new things, but also looks really good on resumes. So it's really nice because like I find that with software, you will have to put in a bit of extra time other than in your classes if you want to like get a co-op job or something. But it's really open-ended of what you want to do with that time. Like if you like doing problems, you can do like coding problems. If you like working on projects, you can just find a project you want and work on it. And it like is really nice because then you can kind of work on things that you enjoy.
100%.
I know one last thing I want to bring up maybe is if someone, like in terms of projects and things like that, if you see an instructor or a professor or any research that you find interesting and you feel like you want to be involved, don't be afraid of reaching out and asking to volunteer, like even non-paid, because I feel like with volunteering, you actually get those skills that you can apply either at that place or even somewhere else.
And a lot of volunteer jobs with teachers like will end up turning into like a paid summer job or something like that, which is nice.
Exactly.
And like one last thing is also, if you want to spend your time towards extracurriculars that may or may not have nothing to do with the job you want to get, the co-op or your stream, that is okay too. And like don't underestimate the soft skills you're going to learn from that. Like when I went to one of my like co-op interviews, the one that I got, they literally asked me for about like 15 minutes about my experience like as a captain of the tennis team. So like do not underestimate the power of your extracurriculars and definitely pursue like the things that you genuinely enjoy to do.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like all of my interviews, I think my Microsoft interview, we had a 15-minute tangent where I was talking about hockey with my interviewer.
Yeah,
so
literally.
Yeah.
For
So I
sure.
think we are running out of time. But if you have any more questions, you could message any of us individually. And I think there was a spreadsheet that's on your Avenue for like contact info for people from different streams if you have questions.
Yeah. If anyone has questions, you're welcome to connect with me on Facebook. I know many of you kids these days might not have Facebook. But yeah, my name is Megan Mazer. So if you have any questions, hit me up.
Put it in for the chat. So if anyone has any questions, you can message me.
Oh yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, we'll write all of our names and some sort of contact if you want. And you have any more questions about first year or second year or anything in between? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wrap everything up here. I just want to say thank you to the reps You guys did such a great job in explaining software, and hopefully everybody on the stream learned a bunch, and people who are watching this in the future will also, feel better about their decision about software. So I just want to let everybody know that we do have one more stream tonight for mechatronics. So if anybody's interested in mechatronics, we have 2 reps that will be speaking on behalf of mechatronics tonight. So if you have any questions or just want to hear about that, feel free to hop into the mechatronics channel. We'll be starting shortly at around 8:05. Once again, thank you, reps, and have a great night, everybody.
Well, thanks, guys.
Stay
Bye,
safe.
guys.
See you.